Hello, my name is Goda Rybita and you're listening to Sentient, a new series of podcasts by Enterprise Lithuania. We will discuss how life sciences improve our living. Indeed, the pursuit of any scientific endeavor is noble, but life sciences are particularly special. They pervade so many aspects of our lives, from healthcare to debates about stem cell research and genetic testing. While dramatic scientific progress has been made in recent decades, so much remains unknown. Yet the knowledge we've gathered has opened up a new world, giving us unique ways of solving problems. Sentient will reveal the potential, development and innovative solutions of the Lithuanian life sciences sector. This time we're discussing astrobiology. I would say although it's a pretty recent scientific field in the world, astrobiology has a lot of potential in science as well as in business. I have with me Aivaras Vilutis, who's a biophysicist at the Vilnius University Life Sciences Center. After an internship at the NASA Ames Research Center in California, Aivaras came back to Lithuania and started a continuous astrobiology research and is communicating and rooting a pretty crazy idea, the Lithuanian Astrobiology Center. Hello, Aivaras, and welcome to Sentient.
Hi there.
And can you explain us what is astrobiology and how is it related to life sciences?
Okay, astrobiology is a very broad field, and when I first saw this thing called astrobiology, I thought it's something about space exploration, and that's it. Something,
yeah, because of Astro. Right?
Yeah, Astro. And biology is something related to life, maybe some extraterrestrial life or something like that. But when I started digging more into it, I understood that astrobiology is basically the origins of life and how life evolved and the future of life, basically how life will be distributed along the universe. So yeah, it goes from Earth to the universe, and this is why the Astro is there. And the relation to life sciences is very broad here. So first of all, okay, in the name of it, there's a word biology.
Yeah.
So we're talking about life. We're talking about life as it is, as we know it, and we're also talking about life as we don't know it yet. So it might get philosophical in some senses when we talk about astrobiology.
What
but
are the origins of us, right?
The origins. And there are many theories about that, so we don't really know how actually life evolved. We have some theories, but yeah, it's a very broad field. It involves a lot of specialties and specialists in the profession.
We will talk more about astrobiology, but I'm interested, what is your favorite theory regarding the origins of life?
Actually, I believe that sometimes we're talking what came first, the RNA world, did proteins came up first. I think it's, I would mix up all of those theories, and I think all of these things somehow evolved separately, and then different things happened at the same time, and this is the slightest chance that made life emerge. So I believe it's a combination of the existing theories. I don't actually believe something came up from other planets. It's not my favorite theory. I believe it happened here. It was this like miracle, this slightest chance that I love, and I do believe in that.
How did you get into astrobiology? What attracted you?
So I think even starting from my high school life, I was a person who liked a lot of things, and I wanted to become an actor. And
now you do a lot of things, right? You communicate science, you're a scientist yourself, you go and do public talks and so on.
Yeah.
So you're kind of a multitasker.
I think it never ends. If you start that, it just goes on. So yeah, in high school I wanted to become an actor, and my favorite thing was science fiction movies. That's it. That's how I came up in high school. But later on, while trying to find my path and going through different study subjects, I found out that astrobiology, I found this one little shelf in the library of my university, and there was this thing, Origins of Life, and in the shelf was at the very corner. I tried just to look at the books, and I thought, wow, who would read this? Why is it here? We're not like, you cannot study astrobiology in Lithuania. You cannot probably study astrobiology in bachelor's in Europe or even somewhere else. So I just tried to look at the books, and I found out that, wow, okay, so astrobiology is this. There are so many subjects. It's like the explanation takes a page instead of a sentence, and I thought, wow, okay, I will never get bored of this. I need to get into that. So I think the broad spectrum of what it takes to be an astrobiologist is what interested me the most, and that's why I got into it. Of course, the path is longer. Yeah, how I got into that. It took me like, you can't become an astrobiologist just by reading a book, because no one actually did any research or did something very little, not really
In
known.
Lithuania,
In
you mean,
Lithuania,
right?
yeah.
So you're one of the pioneers of the new scientific study.
I think it takes, a lot of people who did something maybe 20 years ago. There are some little dots that I'm trying to connect right now and to make it known at first, because I believe in science you have to popularize things just to get attention first, and then maybe you'll get money, and maybe then after all the science will happen.
Yeah, someone said actually a very interesting idea that science is not finished until it's not properly communicated. So probably you're one of the representatives of the idea.
Totally. I think it comes from my previous studies, because at first I studied communication studies.
So you know why it's important.
Yeah, I know totally why it's important, and I try to do that.
And now regarding you, what you do, what kind of research do you do?
Okay, so I tend to talk about my research from two perspectives. So at first, my very first touch into the world of astrobiology was looking for extraterrestrial life. So, okay,
wow, that sounds interesting. Aliens.
Yeah,
right?
Aliens, totally. Where are they, after all? So,
do they exist at all?
I do believe so.
Me too.
They do exist. But yeah, so that was my first touch into the world of astrobiology. I still do that remotely because it was during my internship in USA. So it was before. But right now, for almost more than a year right now, I'm doing the pioneering, I think, studies in how microgravity affects pathogenic microorganisms. So it's also a very broad thing, because we have to talk about pathogenic microorganisms at first, and no one actually studies pathogenic microorganisms specifically.
If I understand correctly, it's something like how diseases spread and infect people in space?
It could be,
no?
Exactly. When we're talking about like how microgravity affects something, we're talking about space conditions. The microgravity is there in the International Space Station, and that's what's the main thing happening and affecting humans, astronauts. So when I study how microgravity affects microorganisms, and especially pathogenic ones, I tend to think what would happen if these pathogenic microorganisms could be present in International Space Station, and what would happen to astronauts. How do they behave? How do they increase their pathogenicity and things like that? So I study that, and I try to find things how to get rid of them in space conditions. So it's also a very different thing, and it involves a lot of scientific disciplines, microbiology especially, and resistant to antifungals, because I study, my specific thing is yeasts, pathogenic yeasts, so it's not bacteria. So if you want to get rid of bacteria, you need antibiotics. If you need to get rid of some yeasts, you need antifungals. So, but resistance mechanisms are similar. We know that it's a huge problem even on Earth. But in space, astronauts have suppressed immune system. And
because of the space conditions, violent space conditions, basically.
Yeah,
right?
they're actually really violent to astronauts, and that's why we celebrate when someone stays for a year in space.
Yeah,
it's
that's a lot.
That's a lot, and a lot of things happen to the bodies of astronauts. So resistance and immune system, they play a huge role in the health of astronauts. And it has been seen that in space, astronauts cannot really use a lot of supplements like antibiotics or antifungals because of their conditions. So if you would get infected and you cannot use these things, it's a huge issue, and you need to overcome that in space. So I study how, what are the alternative methods, basically physical methods, to get rid of those. So I do heat shock, cold shock, electric shock, and I play with those.
So they hate you.
They hate me, probably. They hate me. I'll burn in hell for that, but around the yeast, you know. But
you're helping space travelers in the future.
It's an interesting thing that I'm helping someone that will be in the future. Yeah, not right now, but because right now we don't have a lot of those. But in 10 years, there will be much more. Yeah.
Do you want to go into space?
I would love to. At least to check if my yeasts behave similarly, you know.
Now you said that astrobiology is such a broad term, right? So many different disciplines are connected in it. What do you do day to day regarding astrobiology? Probably only studying and reading, only what is related to your research is not enough, right? Probably you read a lot of books, you have probably philosophical thoughts as well. What do you do day to day?
So day to day, of course, just like you mentioned, reading literature, scientific research, review papers. This is my day-to-day activities. But I remember when you invited me to Clubhouse and I found out that there are so many scientific people from NASA, I was like, I'm back, just like in my internship year. I just started talking about everything there, and I still communicate. I connected with some of the scientists, and I think I even get more information by personally talking with them. I still keep in touch with my mentor that supervised me during my internship. So I try to talk to people as much as I can to see what they're up to, because of course NASA is in the front of that, and NASA is leading the research in astrobiology. So sometimes I get information that is not already written. It takes years to publish research papers, and in such field as astrobiology, we don't have a lot. I remember when I was writing my thesis, I didn't find any papers on specifically pathogenic microorganisms. So
anyway, you mean in the world, globally?
Yeah, globally. There were like 2 papers with different organisms, but specifically with mine, there were like 1 paper or something, and it was like specialized on different things. So I was like, I don't have anything to compare to. Even if I make a mistake, it's a totally common thing in science. What would happen? I cannot compare. So it's an interesting thing. But yeah, I came up to this issue, and then I started talking to NASA scientists, my previous mentors, about the ideas, what could be truth, what could be real, and they also told me that, okay, dude, you should understand that there are no papers yet, and you have to do this. You have to trust yourself, and this is the only way.
And probably approaching scientists is also very important for a beginner scientist, because you get this global point of view that is very necessary in Lithuania, in such a small country as Lithuania, right? You have to have this global perspective everywhere.
And it's a very interesting thing, because science is really global right now. And I always am surprised, why are people not connecting scientists? It's so easy. You can just take your phone and talk to someone, find them. It's a very easy thing. And sometimes people just resist that. They want to do everything on themselves, and this is what keeps them just further away from the real science.
Yeah, because they have to be part of the community as well, probably.
Totally, And in a community like astrobiologists, they're like, you can just count them, the ones that are known in the world. So yeah, it's a very important thing.
You mentioned NASA a couple of times. NASA is like the center of space exploration, as well as of astrobiology, of course. And you did an internship at the NASA Ames Research Center. And how did you feel when you came back to Lithuania after such an amazing experience at NASA? Then you're back to Lithuania with no lab equipment, right? No one who could like advise you in Lithuanian language and so on. And then you're just brought from space to Earth.
From space to Earth, totally. Yeah, it's a different thing here. And I was like living day by day in the world of astrobiology. But also at the same time, I was thinking, I really want to come back to Lithuania. I thought about that also day by day, because I thought this is my path, and I want to do that here at home. So it's an interesting thing, because I wanted to come back here, even if I was at the wonderful place. I love the experiences there. There's a lot to talk about that. But when I came back to Lithuania, I was overwhelmed, but it was also a shock, because I understood that, what do I do now?
Reality check.
Reality check, yeah. And I was like, oh no, the reality is much harsher than I thought it would be. And you know, when you're like really innovative and you love science and you're really passionate and motivated about that, I thought people will just take me somewhere, they'll let me do things. And then I started writing people. Not at all. They're like, what are you doing? Are you out of your mind? You're just a bachelor student, and we don't care about your NASA internship. And
wow, that's harsh.
That was really harsh. And then I was like, okay, so it feels like I found my path, but I can't. There's just like a border, you know, and I cannot pass it. So at first it was harsh. But, you know, I know that in science, and the answer no is just as equal as an answer yes. And you just have to, you know, it's like everyday thing. You can do research for a few years and your hypothesis is just not confirmed. It's a no. And it's a very common thing. I'm used to that. And when it came up to my daily life, I was like, okay, I'm even a happier person after understanding that no is just equal as a yes. So I still kept writing, and one amazing scientist, Eglė Lastauskienė, she wrote me back, and she was like, okay, I thought about astrobiology during the younger years, and we should just talk about that. And I remember the first time when I came there, we just got outside because of the COVID situation. We thought, let's go outside, and we started talking, and then I was really like anxious because I don't know what to say. You know, I'm still a little one.
And you received so many no's prior that conversation.
And I was like, it's really like important to leave a good impression right now. And I was like, what do I say? But somehow we just started talking. I immediately like got the vibe of my supervisor, my current mentor. So it was amazing. We started talking about the pilots, that their telomeres might be longer. It's not even space, but you know, pilots are still in Earth. But it was something one step closer to astrobiology and something that is out of Earth. And we started talking about that, and I remember a few months passed, and I got my first piece of equipment that now allows me to simulate microgravity.
Sounds like a beautiful success story. What did you do at NASA? What kind of research did you conduct? And is it in any way related to what you do now in Lithuania?
Right now, it's not related, but I'm still communicating and still trying to collaborate remotely. So I'm like on both of these sides. Because what I did at NASA was not like wet lab work. It was just on my computer. I tried to apply machine learning. So basically the project was about machine learning applications to find extraterrestrial life. So if you would imagine that curiosity or perseverance just walks on Mars and it takes a random sample, my algorithms that are chosen would immediately tell if the sample is life potential or life non-potential. So you don't have to bring everything back to Earth. And this is very important because of because it's very costly. So yeah, I did a lot of research just by taking a single number from 20-page article, and I read like hundreds, not maybe even thousands of articles during my NASA internship. And you would, you know, imagine that you're going to like fancy trips and excursions and everything.
Looking at all of the robots at NASA.
I saw one.
Which one?
They were just prototypes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, nothing very specific.
So only one robot?
Yeah. And I was like, you know, but then I understood the like infrastructure of NASA. There are 10 centers, and I was just like in one that specializes in information technology and things like that. So this wasn't the center for the launch or jet propulsion like center. It was not one of those. So, but very interestingly, when I was at NASA, they opened the most innovative center for biosciences. And I was a person from biosciences. So I was like, okay, now I'm in the opening event of that thing. There's like 100 people from all over the NASA centers.
And you need to network.
And I need to network, but that was the moment when I met Aivaras Vilutis.
Lithuanian.
Yeah, so you know, even in the world of like many different people, I came up to a Lithuanian that was working there, and then it was a really nice thing. Yeah, I just networked with others, and they were all interested in astrobiology. They have talked that we, the ones that are standing there, it completely changed my viewpoint, because they said, these people were gathered here from all over the world. You are the ones that will lead our generation to space.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm just an intern, but it wasn't.
I'm ready.
But I'm ready to do that. I was like, I can do that, and it gave me so much inspiration. I still believe in myself until now.
Now, regarding something not that how to say easy, you came back to Lithuania. You said that you received many no's, right? Until you found one scientist who said, yes, let's do this. Now, regarding lab equipment, is it difficult to get lab equipment for a completely new discipline in Lithuania?
Basically, because you need to write grants, you need money, and especially in governmental institutions that are institutions that are ruled by government. It's kind of hard if you're not from a private sector. It's really hard to buy something, and we had to look for different ways how to get something that might not be. We just wanted the slide is the most basic version of it, just because the very advanced versions cost a lot. So I'm talking about the clinostats that enable us to simulate microgravity. So these things, you might get them for a cheaper price as well. But my mentor had one project before with Vilnius Tech University, and she said that, okay, we tried to touch something because I was also really into that sphere. So they didn't do a lot, but they had connections. So that helped us to get the first thing. I remember after 4 months, we had to give that microgravitator back, and I was like, oh no, is this the end? But very soon we just got it once again. So now we have it. It was really hard, and I believe that's why maybe that's why many scientists just said no, because you need specific equipment, and this is just a no for them.
So correct me if I'm wrong, there has never been a continuous astrobiology research in Lithuania, right?
Yeah, talking about something that is done continuously, I don't think everything.
So you are the first one who's doing that?
Right now, yeah, and I'm not going to give any pauses to that. I do believe that I need to gather the community, and that's why I'm trying to talk about astrobiology anywhere I am. So because I believe, and in Life Sciences Center in Vilnius University, I talk about that a lot, and I already see that some of the students are getting interested, and we need more people, of course. I cannot do it all. It's very hard. So I do believe that more people will get interested in.
So what do you think? What is the potential of Lithuania regarding astrobiology globally?
Since it's a very new field, I do believe that we can be the leaders. I mean, of course, NASA is there. We're not going into that sphere, but we can really do something new because we have a very good background in Lithuanian life sciences. And if we use all of these aspects and introduce them into a new discipline, we have amazing scientists. We just need to collaborate and do something amazing. And this is really possible, especially when we talk about astrobiology. Some of the groups could investigate how life could originate. Some of the groups could talk about life support systems that are really important in space exploration. So there are many fields, and I do believe that the people in Europe, I remember when I was in my first year of university, I just started writing. It was really random. I just wrote one scientist, astrobiologist from the... It was Edinburgh University, and he was one of the professors at the Center for Astrobiology in UK. So it was one of the main centers. It's still one of the main centers in Europe, but now after the Brexit, it's it's something different. Yeah. So I wrote him, can I study PhD at your place? And he was like, you should study something at first and then come back to me after 4 years. But yeah, it was really random. I was just like, is it possible to get there?
But still you got a response. That's nice.
Yeah, and it's really nice. And now at some of the conferences we talked, and I was like, I am that person who wrote you when I was in my first year, and now we're planning to join a lunar an European Space Agency team that does studies, very, very preliminary studies for lunar exploration and how to colonize Moon. So this is something that I am now getting connected, where I'm now getting connected with that person. I might not study PhD there, but I can still collaborate.
Yeah, it's important to go out of your way, so to say, and just keep on sending emails.
Yeah,
basically.
totally. A lot of those. And I haven't got a response from many, but the responses that I've got, they're amazing. You just have to do that.
Do you see private and commercial sector coming in here, especially in Lithuania?
I do see, because everyone wants to be seen somehow, and especially in private sector, there are so many like amazing people that do really good research, and to get more attention to sell their products, they have to be seen. And I do believe that astrobiology is something that would just make them seen in the public, because it's a thing that's really philosophical and talks about like all of us, we all want to know if there are aliens. But about the commercialization, we're talking about people that will be flying around Earth in commercial flights. So this is the future. And I do believe we can collaborate. Of course, we will not put rockets here and won't launch them, but we can collaborate, as I mentioned, for example, with life support systems. It's a very important thing, and it could be commercialized. It will be needed a lot. And this is just one thing out of many that we can collaborate and be better at it.
So if you were about to start a startup, what would it be? Would it be related to life support systems?
It wouldn't be. It's another thing. Yeah. So it's connected to my future plans. I already have things written, and we have made plans with my supervisor about what I'm going to do next. So it's actually a thing. You remember I mentioned the pilots and elongated telomeres somehow, even if it's a slight elongation. We know that telomeres shorten as we age, and they're connected to just a simple aging process. It's the main thing that we all care about, actually. After all, we all want to somehow be younger for a longer time. We might not want to be immortals, but we still want to be younger as much as we can. So there's a thing that was done during a NASA study, the twin study, and they found
when
out
two astronauts was two twin astronauts, one of them was sent to space and the other stayed on Earth, right?
Yeah, okay. Exactly that one. And there was one really interesting finding that the astronaut that has been on the International Space Station, his telomeres somehow were longer after all. And if you just see this thing, longer telomeres, it looks like something from a science fiction movie where someone is anti-aging and getting younger. So it's not scientific, but it has some scientific implications there, because there are some things happening in your body that might be related to aging. So when I'm talking about the startup right now, I will do research related to telomeres. Just like that, I wrote one of the scientists from Manchester University because I saw he does a research on aging, and he just had like different strains of yeast that I would be able. I thought I could use that in my research in the future. So I just wrote him. He just sent me like a Christmas card, a good luck, Aivaras, and a lot of yeasts with different length telomeres. So
that's a nice touch.
It's an amazing thing, and right now I have those yeasts, and I'm ready to use them to study aging processes in microgravity once again. So it's like a little simulation of what's happening to astronauts, and I can do that much faster because I'm talking about microorganisms, and they still resemble a lot and tell a lot about us. Humans, we have a lot of like same genes, maybe sometimes different genes, but they can still tell us a lot of things about the physiology of us. So if I would make a startup, it would be related to aging, and I know it's a huge thing, and a lot of people are working to that. The industry is really big, and starting something there is very, very difficult. But, no one has ever tried to take the space sector into the aging industry, and it's a completely new thing. So I've already pitched in some of the competitions about that, but it's hard to make people believe, in something. And
it takes time.
It takes time, and I understand that in science, when you haven't done research, a lot of research, they just don't believe you. So I understand that I have to do something now. So that's what I'm going to do, and maybe one day there will be a starter related to aging and how we can age slower.
Wow, good luck, Aivaras. Thank you for coming, and you are the best example on how being creative and proactive actually can start a completely new science discipline in a country. So thank you for coming, and thank you for telling us so many interesting things about astrobiology.
Thank you so much.
The podcast is brought to you by Life Sciences Baltic, the largest international life sciences forum in the Baltic countries, organized by Enterprise Lithuania, funded by the European Union structural funds. While presenting the potential of the Lithuanian life sciences sector, the forum provides different digital experiences for life sciences companies, startups and academia. Join us September 20 to 24 and turn new connections into meaningful projects. We are not just the stuff that dreams are made on, we are the stuff that DNA is made on. Life science is simply the basis of our body and brain function, so it should be important to us if we want to better know ourselves. Tune in the next time for more on Sentient by Enterprise Lithuania.